So, hi again. My name is John, and this is going to be the second part of the expanded Shithead rules that works with my Shithead variation. So this is Cutthroat. It's what me and most of my friends now play, majority of the time. In the first video, I talked about changes to the 2 power card, which was now free play for the opposite person and a link. I introduced the 6s as a face card and jacks as a power card. I showed how these bottom cards are now laid out ever so slightly differently. And I made a nod to how the 4 of a kind no longer works, and by extension, the chaining off these bottom cards also is no longer a thing. So now that that's reiterated, I'm going to add one thing to the 2's link that I forgot to say. And it comes down to if you clear the deck, there's no pile, whatever. If you clear the deck, you cannot start your first card as a link. A link has to occur between one card and another. A link has to fall through. You cannot link off of nothing. That being said, if you're down to your bottom cards, and you know what these are, and someone plays a thing, you can play a pick your 2 and be like, oops, that was silly. You can pick your 2 that you know is buried down here, and you can say, I'm linking off of the last card played. There's a difference between linking off of nothing, because you can't link off nothing, that starts a free play, and linking off something on the top. So you can have a 2 cast first, but as only if it's on a card and not laid by itself. Okay, so that's the first little credit. The second thing is, if you wanted to have a free play for yourself, you could say free play for the opposite person, however, free play link 2, and then play whatever you want. So an actual free play like existed in Shithead, you can still get away with it, but it would take 2 2s. And like I say, it should be easy for anyone to see. It's like you're saying a free play, link 2, and then something off a free play, which is anything. So essentially 2 2s now make a Shithead free play. So I want to add that little credit in there and how you cannot link off of nothing. Playing it by itself will be a 2. And this happens every once in a while when you get down to your last cards and you're like, gosh, I held on to a 2 and now I get the 2's last card in my hand. You got to play it as a 2. And try to avoid that, but it will happen. And again, if you want to have free play to yourself, 2 link 2. So I just want to put that little credit in there first, just because I missed it on my last little bit. So now that that's out of the way, we're going to move on, and I'm going to show you the last couple things. One is pretty optional. You don't have to use it. We do. It's kind of like a leftover rule from something else. The other one, though, the one I'm going to state first, is one of the earlier things I came up with, and it came up with about the same time as the 6s and jacks because they worked together. Initially, what 6s and jacks were all about was finding new ways to stop the 10. Because playing a 10 and being like, nope, it's clear, it's gone, you can't touch me, and getting a free play on top of it was like a little bit overpowered. We tried to dumb it down by saying, well, it's not less than 8, so I guess that's one card that stops it, but I mean, it still was really OP. So the 6s and the jacks was a way to start influencing the almost invulnerableness of like the power cards. I would probably say no card is without weakness in this game. As powerful as some of these cards can be, there are also like a lot of ways to stop them. So everything kind of has a hang-up. Little nuances to them. So I'm going to start in now with the new stuff, or the new things I want to show you. And it's these very specific 4 cards. It is not of any other suits, and this is the first time you're going to see suits being very specific here. These are the 4, the 7, the 9, and the king, off and only of the spades. These are the cancel cards. They, very specifically, cancel the effects of other cards. And you might be like, what do you mean effects? Well, I mean things like these 4. The effects of a 6 is to play a face card. The effect of a jack is to play a power card only, less than 8, play less than 8, and a 10 is a clear. these four were primarily designed against the tens, but they do work on any card that has effect. So what's going to happen is you're playing your round. We got a little deck here on the go. Your opponent plays you a 10. It's not an instant clear anymore. You have to stop. Be like, can you stop that? And I could be like, yeah, I can stop that. I am canceling the effect of a 10, and now play continues off the 4. And that was what any of these do. The 7 cancels, the 9 cancels, the king cancels, and the 4 cancels. And you're going to be like, well, that's an odd array of cards. It's like, well, not really. If you consider that the 2 and the 3 are already doing something. The 6 is doing something. Here's the 7, 8's the less than 8, 9, 10, Jack's doing a Pegasus card. There's only really the 5 and Queen left over. And actually, they have influences too. So that's why these 4 are very specifically picked. And no, it's not with any of the other suits, because that would be too much. You would have 16 cancel cards, and just no need of that. So these are the cancel cards. And again, it's these 4. It's only the spades, and they work by canceling the effects of other cards. That being said, let's say the 9's there. Well, I can't cancel a 9. It's just a 9. It's not doing anything. So 7 of spades won't work on a 9. Play another 9 because it's a 9. You play a king because it's higher, but you could play like a 4 or 7. So that has to be that would be a little stress. They only stop cards that have effects. Now you might be like, well, that's kind of cool when I have a 10 to play it on, but what about the rest of the time? Well, the rest of the time they're just used as their value. So if this is the case, it's 4, and I only have cancel cards left, like, well, I'll play a 4. It's just a 4. It's only a cancel card when you're using it on something that's cancelable. Any other time, you can just call it as the value. You can just toss it out. There's more often not, you're probably going to be sitting there with something like this and be like, oh, I don't need to cancel. Well, I'm just going to play 2 of them. And that's the big thing about this. In order for a cancel card to have the effect of being a canceling card, you got to play it by itself. That's the trick to this one. Any of these 4 must be played alone when used as a cancel. Now, that is because I'm about to cancel this. I can't play 2 of those. I can't discard my other 9s. I can't discard my other kings, 7s, 4s. Now, if I'm going to cancel, I'm only using this card. It makes it a bit of edgy. They're crazy powerful. There's nothing else in the game that can actually stop a clear from occurring besides these 4 cards. And they stop a lot of other things. And if you recall back to the links, you'll see sometimes if you don't want to pile to clear, you can actually be like, you know what, I'm going to play a cancel card 4, link 2, off a 10. Somebody just went to try to clear the deck, and you're like, denied. And I'm giving myself essentially a free play, because there's nothing you couldn't play on a 4. Which, here's a great opportunity to play a 6. Or an 8, or something else if you know, especially when you know somebody's holding. So this is why cancel cards are so valuable. They're deal breakers. They stop things from happening. You got an opponent that's playing a lot of jacks to you, and it's like, no, man, I want you to play a power card. I'm like, no, cancel. I'm canceling the effect of the power card, and now you're going to play off the 9. And you're going to keep going. So, but again, the golden rule is if you want the effect of a cancel card, the card has to be played by itself. It cannot be played with something else. Otherwise, you can just play it as its numerical value and be like, nope, I'm just playing it. I'm just playing these as a pair of kings. Nope, that's it. I'm not playing it for the cancel effect. So that's the big distinction on those. And again, only these 4 and only the spades, because otherwise it gets to be way too much. So those are the cancel cards. Crazy straightforward. They work on cancelable effects and nothing else. And just before I move on, that is the 6 and jack. And it is the 10 and 8. I would say now, because I should put this credit, because I remember this one came up a few times. Let's say you play an 8 and you play a 3. The 3, if you remember, mirrors and takes on the effect of the card underneath it. So this 3 now is essentially less than 8. Yes, I can cancel a less than 8. A 3, however, by itself isn't actually a powerful card. So if we're playing, say, a 9, and for whatever reason someone plays a 3, I can't cancel a 3. I know it seems like the 3 is an effect in that it's matching something, but it's the effect of what it's laid on. And a 9 doesn't have an effect, so you can't cancel a 9. And you're not canceling the 3 from mirroring it, because what you're really canceling? Then it's still a 9. So be mindful of how threes are laid. If a three's on something cancelable, it's cancelable, but a three in and of itself isn't, because it really kind of loses the power of matching the second it's laid on something. So it's a little wonky. I've had a few people that kind of wonder about it, but that's what it comes down to. The three is based on what is laid on top of. This is not cancelable, and this 8 is. So I'm going to leave that there. The second one, also crazy straightforward. We added this in quite a little ways into it. This turns out to be one of your really nifty little cards. It's a bullet. Straight up bullet. Not without weakness, but as a bullet. This is a wild card. This is the only wild card. The other aces are not. Ace of spades only. It has really 2, but I guess 3 limitations. The first is that it cannot be a 10. It cannot destroy itself. It can't be like, oh, I'm going to commit suicide. And I called it 10 and just clear it. Not going to happen. That's just one big limitation. The second one is it cannot be a 5 of spades. Nope. And you might be like, it's a 5 of spades. What's the 5 of spades for? Well, that's coming next. Can't be a 5 of spades. And you also can't say, what was I going to say? You can't call this something that wouldn't fly. So if I'm laying an 8 down and you're like, oh, I'm going to play this as a jack. Nope. You can't play a jack on an 8. You can call this as something else, but it still has to be a legal play. So those are the big limitations. Can't be a 10, cannot be self-defeating, can't be a 5 of spades, I'll get to that in a moment, and it has to still legally be played. You will almost always call this as a 5-2 for another link. Tends to come up a lot. I've seen it be called cancel cards, primarily a cancel card king and a cancel card 4. It seems to be the big 2, because linking off a 4 is amazing on a cancel, and calling as a king as that little kind of last ditch is pretty good too. Sometimes it's an 8, sometimes it's a 6, sometimes you just call it as an ace because that's what you need is an ace. So it's an amazing card. The other big limitation that comes with the ace is that it goes back to the rule that a card can always beat itself. And I forget that a lot of people forget. They always remember the equal or higher in value, like, oh, I'm playing a 9, I can play another 9. But they kind of forget that that also applies to this. I'm going to call on this less than 8, I'm going to call that as a 6. That's a legal play. Okay. But that's still an ace. And an ace will beat an ace. So no matter what you call an ace on, another ace can be laid on top of it. Every card, no matter how amazingly good it is, does have a weakness in this game. And that's what this one is. So before I move on, cannot be a 10, cannot be a 5, must be legally played, and can be beaten by another ace. So this is the Aces Wild, and it is probably going to be one of your more useful cards, especially when you see it, because you know you're playing it. You definitely know it's getting played out. And if you get to the last 2 cards in your hand happen to be an ace of spades and a 2, then you're guaranteed your play. So I'm going to move on now to the actual last one. And this one's a little wonkier. We use it. I like it. This game has gone through a few iterations over the bit. And there's a couple things we used and got rid of. And one of the things we used to use was gambits, but only one of them ever stuck. It's because years ago we used to have a joker as a forced pickup, but it never worked quite right. In this one, we kept the forced pickup nature, but we said the only way to make someone forcefully pick up the deck, to give them no choice, is to play in succession, one person, not a combination of people, one person, is to play all 4 queens at the same time, and by doing so you toss it to queen, so it cannot be done twice. If someone can lay down all 4 queens, and again this falls on the rule that you can play it on a 4, but queens can't be played on 8. If you can do that, you're going to cause the next person to take the entire deck and pick it up. That's what this does. I'll also toss that out again. The counter to this is the 5 of spades, which is why the ace of spades can't be called at that, is that if someone plays a gambit towards you, then you can play the 5 and pass it back to them. So yeah, that's the 3. We have the Queens Gambit, we have the little credit on the link 2, we have our 4 cancel cards, and we have the other stuff. And I'm going to log her there.